Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we finished Stage 5 of the invasion on Lacon Majoris, and now we're on to Stage 6. Stage 6, the Unguarded Flank. Yet another new front is open. What is more, in a location we had thought to be safe, the eastern jungle line is far away from the main front lines, with almost nothing of value. Still, somehow, several Chaos Legion battalions found their way around the continent without detection, and emerged in a threatening position to an unguarded flank. Our plan is to capture a series of defunct military outposts near the edge of the jungle and use them as a bulwark.
Thorn speaking. The enemy has dug in at multiple strong points over the battlefield. Mount an assault and take them one by one. When the Imperial banner flies high, you will get reinforcements at your current position. Revel in carnage, Inquisitor.
I just realized I'm taking continual damage. No, this isn't related to... that's a decimator. This isn't related to Chaos, but I was actually reading up on some more lore, so I know some of you will enjoy that, about Gene Stealer cults. Specifically the generations of them. Because if you don't know, Gene Stealer cults actually take generations to create. No, this isn't just somebody knocking door to door like a Jehovah, being like, hey, you wanna join the Church of the Tyranids? And people being like, yeah, sure, why not? I feel like being consumed and turned into biomass. What actually happens is a Gene Stealer infects a few people, those people mate, and then the first generation is the, up here right now, Malignacy? Basically brutish, more Gene Stealer than person looking monsters. Borderline animals, can't really use any weapons. They're just kind of dumb cannon fodder. Good for a shock troop, but that's about it. Then we get the hybrid, which is a little more like the origin species, or like the... what do they have it described as? Oh, the host, yeah, because they're a parasite. But they're like the host. Which is interesting, you know. Neat little way of kind of going about it. Wow, those dudes got mulched. But you have them, some of them are able to use weapons, and they're still selectively bred for certain traits. Then you have true hybrids, which look a lot more like their host, but they still can't just like go outside and people being like, oh yeah, that's totally not a Gene Stealer man. So they have to kind of like hide in darkness or wear baggy clothes and stuff. But it's an interesting bit there. They can actually use weapons and whatnot. Then you have the primacy, which is effectively fairly indistinguishable from the host. Main features are like, they're bald. That's about it. And then actually the 5th generation is another Gene Stealer. Which is also neat because, you know, the genetics kind of loop back around at that point. And at that point, between the 4th and 5th generations, usually the leader of the cult will start a war. This will involve stuff like generating... I keep having to pull this up because I don't know this knowledge 100% myself. Spawn a metamorph to essentially call in a Tyranid hive fleet. Tyranid hive fleet. Words are difficult. But they'll call in Tyranids that way to support them. But I think it's an interesting and kind of a cool thing of like, hey, these guys actually take generations to build up to where they are. they'll target influential members of the military, the politicians, all throughout to get their hands in everywhere. That's why through lore a lot of these invasions these Gene Stealer cult resistance and rebellions will suddenly have a chunk of the Imperial Guardsmen of the planet or the Planetary Defense Forces just up and turn because they've been effectively bred to. Which is neat, and I feel like not really touched on in 40K enough. You could do a game. Here I am with more game ideas again. But you could do a game just being like a normal guardsman fighting against a Gene Stealer cult and the rebellion. And it could start out with just, primacy guardsmen rebelling. And then as the story progresses, more monstrous Tyranids show up until it's a hive fleet. And if you wanted to do multiple endings, you could have different kind of rankings on how your fights go. How long it takes, casualties, if buildings can be destroyed through combat, how much is destroyed, different things like that. And depending on how you do, affects just how the story goes, Do you lose the community, like the Astropath relay, and are unable to call for reinforcements? Do you secure the relay and get reinforcements called in and Space Marines come to help? Different things like that can result in either the Tyranids being defeated or the planet being lost. Which I think would be really cool and actually offer some replayability. Which is something you don't see in a lot of shooters, is replayability. Realistically, in terms of like story. The last shooter that I was like, yeah, I can't wait to play more of this, would be... it doesn't even really count because it wasn't the story mode, but the Pandemic made mid-2000s version of Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefront 2, because you had like Galactic Domination or Galactic Conquest, so you had like a turn-based strategy mode that would lead into fights. Short of that, like the story, I played the story multiple times, but it's kind of one and done. But in something like this, you could actually go back through it, and you could have potentially some interesting things. There's possibilities in there. Just all depends on how it would be made, and like many things, who would make it.
The Imperial banner high. Onwards.
I think that's something people don't talk about enough, is 40K, when it comes to the games, you have to be very passionate. Because if you don't care, it is very obvious. Like, you don't have to be a hardcore lore nerd, but you at least have to be like, hey, I do think this is interesting and want to learn about it. As opposed to being like, yeah, this is a paycheck. Because, like, if it's something you've made, like, let's say BioWare with Anthem. If you're not too interested, you don't have to really care, because you don't have a ton of lore, you don't have tons of stuff. You can BS whatever you want. Oh, why are these guys here? I don't know, because I feel like it. You can do that. But if you try doing that here, like, oh, why are there Rubric Marines with, with Death Guard? You can't excuse that. You can't be like, well, they decided to join up with Nurgle. No. Any lore nerd is going to rip you a new hole. Or if you just are like, I don't know, they just are. Chaos works weird. People are not going to vibe with it. And the other thing, too, is from my understanding, Games Workshop's pretty controlling about their IP. So you think they'd have a little more say in what happens? But I guess if Dawn of War 3 is any example, they care about they care about the art and who's what, but past that they don't really care. I mean, I think it was Gabriel Angelos full on like slam dunking dudes in Tyranid, or not Tyranid, in Terminator armor using a power hammer. And it was just like, you can't like front flip and slam dudes in that armor, my guy. That's like wearing a Chevy Silverado and trying to dunk on someone. It just doesn't work. You know what Gene Stealers need for a model? They need, for like a fast attack vehicle, a Toyota Hilux with an like a auto cannon or something in the back. I think that would work pretty well. Art imitating life. And stuff time. And look at that, I can even watch the bullets flying through there in slow-mo.
You gave them death generously. My compliments.
The Corpus Shard's good.
You are expected to mark a bunker for an aerial strike. The target is reinforced by anti-aircraft artillery, so you must take out the foot soldiers and guns first, then finish the bunker. All this, taking it in stride single-handedly. Oh, the seemingly pointless intrigues of the Holy Ordo.
I also saw an article on Bell Lost Souls that instantly is not putting me in a happy spot. They point out that there hasn't, like, Games Workshop's making some weird changes to, like, Kroot mercenaries and some of the Mechanicum units. And now that I'm thinking about that, that's kind of worrisome, since we haven't got anything for Kroot in a long time. And I'm starting to worry that they're gonna get squatted. And we'll probably see the same thing with the Vespids. I get it, but it sucks because especially the Tau. The Tau are literally supposed to be a bunch of different races coming together as an army. But potentially just nuking some of them, doesn't sit with me all too well. Oh man, I just realized there's a time limit. I'm sitting here just kind of casually walking through like, oh yeah, I'll just walk up, pop a few guys, la-di-da. But oh yeah, there's actually a reason to be a little concerned and try to speed up a little. Haha, losers. Can't stop my time field. Wait, he didn't have an explodey psychic field? Bruh. I can never remember who gets psychic, like, backlash deaths and who doesn't. It's like, come on, give me those. I can really use those kills. I mean, those are effectively free kills every time they do it. I love how their mortar is also their
You did
AA,
short work of that one, Inquisitor, but there is more.
which is... That's like a Hydra flak tanks guns. So it's just kind of funny to be like, oh yeah, there's also shells, people. Because, I mean, using real-life meat space logic here, those are supposed to be autocannons, probably like 20mm autocannons, which would be terrible. I mean, they're decent anti-air. A lot of times now, even we use just a ton of smaller rounds because you can just fill the air with bullets. But I'm just thinking, like, the main idea here being, if they're 20mm, if you're using it as a mortar, that's really bad mortar. Like, 20mm explosive rounds, that's like a 20mm grenade. That's under barrel grenade launcher levels of grenades. Meanwhile, what you see on like I think it's the M79, is it the M79? Or is it the M72? No, the 72 is the rotary grenade launcher. You know what, same damn thing, realistically. Whether it's the Thumper, you know, the single barrel, single shot break action, a pump action like the China Lake. Yes, I'm using the Call of Duty name for it. It's easier for people to identify. Or, you know, a rotary grenade launcher. Those are larger and those are 40mm. Just to give you context as to the size and potential lethality. So those would be very piddly mortars. Especially considering what you can even utilize as like just a standard infantryman, you can carry bigger mortars than that.
Keep going.
I've seen enough war footage from like Africa and the Middle East to know you can get bigger man-portable mortars. And some of them don't even really need a mortar team. You could literally be a guy with a tube and a couple, like, mortar rounds on you. Granted, you're not going to be that effective. You need volume of fighting. Because your first couple shots are going to be ranging shots. And then you can start saturating. And I mean, some of them don't even have, like, a tripod or bipod to actually angle. It's just a dude holding it. And I've seen enough videos where dudes just zone, like, they range it right, and then they just start spam firing. And a little tidbit of information, don't fire mortars a ton in rapid succession, because they heat up, and they heat the barrel, and if the barrel heats up, they can set off the mortar in the tube. Sometimes it can actually fuse the mortar to the tube and then detonate it, and then you go bye-bye. Mortars are cool, but they're also scary. Shell responsibly.
You did a short work of that one, Inquisitor. But there is more.
There's more. Walk around this rock, and here's the bunker to blow up. Oh wow, the timer actually keeps going. Let's just mine it up, and... yeah, I love the shenanigans you can pull with this. I was also gonna say, I ended up getting that, red, like, Archaeotech piece of armor I got. Would give you... oh, don't tell me. Oh my god. I glitched it because the mortar is there. Tell me, do I have anything that can explode? This is the dumbest thing. I think that'll work. I can't believe I did this. But yeah, it would inflict a needle or poison on a hit. This is the stupidest thing. It doesn't allow you to trigger it because of the mine. The mine gets in the way.
Loading.
Alright, I'll be back. I have to recomplete this mission. Okay. Mortar's back down. I think the lighting on this map is weird. Keeps kind of dimming and brightening. But, mortar's down. Not gonna use any mines. We'll do this the old-fashioned way. I had to redo the first fight because this whole segment requires you to complete everything successfully in one go. Aborting a mission counts as a failure and resets you, so...
Loading.
Had to try this all over again. Okay, nothing in the way. There. And I did it in faster time this time.
You are still alive and more or less in one piece. That's a success, I guess. Initiating exfiltration rituals.
Nah, nothing special. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.